Hello everyone, so this time I would like to share a video that I created some time ago. However, this video didn't have voice explanation, so I decided to record the explanation so that it's easier to follow this video. I think the lace-up detail is really beautiful, and I created this video just to show like the step-by-step process that I use. I like to create the lace-up with realistic cord or lace. Obviously there are many videos out there showing how to do this detail and how to do it in the fastest and easiest way, but usually they do cut the lace and they attach it to like this internal invisible piece and so on, so it's not really true to life detail. So if you know my work, you know that I really like creating true to life details in my 3D work, so that's why I wanted to show how to do this type of detail. Okay, so let's jump right in. So first of all, I created this middle line, and on this line all the holes will be placed. I added segment point from top and from bottom with same distance, and then in between I split with segment point and I created the amount of holes that I want. Why I create those segment points is just it's easier to place the internal circles on them. So that's what I'm doing right now, just creating the internal circles where the holes will be placed. And then once those are created, then I can delete that internal line I created. And then for the first button, I create these two internal lines to have the middle part, because I copy these points on the facing pattern, and then to position it exactly in the same place where the body has these holes, I need that middle point of the first hole, and that helps me position those holes very precisely. And of course after that I can delete it. And then I'm selecting all the holes and I will do cut and sew. Okay, so now it is cut, and I remove the patterns of the base, and I need to just arrange a little bit the hole parts, because as you can see the position of the holes, it's a little bit messed up. I don't know if it would happen in the current CLO version, but I had this kind of error, so I had to make sure that all the holes are arranged into the window correctly, as well as they are sewn correctly in 3D, because as you can see, once I simulate, there are some changes happening with the holes. They change a little bit. So I don't know what caused it, but it was very easy to fix anyway. And then I used this linear measure tool for garment just to determine how long the straps should be. I found it very easy because there's no guessing, and you can create the strap very precisely in the exact measurement that you need in order to achieve this kind of open look. And of course afterwards you can adjust the length to make it closed more and so on. So this tool I really like. I actually use it a lot. And then here I start to create the first batch of straps. So I just check the measurement of the linear measurement tool, and I click shortcut for creating the rectangle. So that's why it can be quite quick. So that's why you see I don't click on the actual tool. Okay, I realized I don't really need that one, so I just deleted it. So here I'm just aligning and distributing the pattern pieces, just because I really like to have a well-organized workspace in CLO. That very often just helps to save time. And then I aligned along center just so that the simulation can be easier, and the arrangement in 3D is also easier in this case. And then I just move the straps closer to the body. And then here I'm just deleting those measurements, so because I don't need them anymore. And then I'm creating these internal lines where the straps will be attached. And I just copied them very freely. I don't really care about the very specific placement of those lines, because these are just like helping lines and helping pattern pieces. And then here I am doing the sewing. It's also very important to make sure that I'm sewing the straps to the right holes. So just clicking on the holes in 3D and yeah, checking the placement in 2D, I realized that I have some arrangement issues, so I had to rearrange a little bit. And here I'm just checking if the arrangement of the other ones is okay. And here I'm doing the sewing directly in 3D because that is much easier with this type of arrangement. So as you can see, one side I sew to the top part of the holes, and the other side I sew to the bottom part. So for the holes I have 2 layers, the top and bottom. Okay, once the sewing is done, I do a little bit of 3D arrangement. So I turn the pattern so it's easier to sew. So the part that's attached to the top layer of the pole can easily be sewn, and the same with the part that's attached to the bottom. Here I was adjusting just the stretch values so that the patterns don't stretch and they actually gather, like hold the opening, and doesn't let the opening to open. And now I am just copying and pasting the other side. So the sewing is already done. Only thing I have to do is position in 3D the straps. And because I have 2 layers for the holes, there's no issues with sewing. It's really very stable. And as you can see, this already looks quite realistic, and of course if you hide the whole pattern pieces, this is already something you can use, so you don't even have to go the further step that I did. But of course I like to make it super realistic, so I actually did make all the straps within one strap. So for that, first of all, you have to flip normal certain pattern pieces. So the very bottom one, you flip normal. And then by using 3D, just by clicking on patterns, you can determine which part needs to be merged with which line. And here I removed the linked editing because that is not necessary. So here I'm basically doing the merging, and then I deleted those help pattern pieces for the holes. And as you can see, the simulation is super stable. Even the particle distance was like 20. And now I'm just doing merging one by one, determining which 2 lines need to be merged by clicking on pattern pieces in 3D. And then here at these points you have to do some flip normal. So it flips the pattern. That means you can easily merge. Otherwise merging is not possible if you don't flip the pattern. It will merge your patterns incorrectly, basically. And once you already understand where the lines are placed when you need to merge, this process is very quick. And you can do this all at once and then simulate all at once. But I do like to do things step by step because that very often helps me to avoid collision issues or things getting messed up. But generally, lately, I think CLO has become very stable, so probably you don't need to simulate every time. But I haven't tried recently this method. I hope it still works. Okay, so now the work is finished. And you can see I have just one long strap, and then here I'm just adding the piece for like the ending. So of course there's some ending coming out from the last hole. That's really easy. So first of all I just sew it to the hole, and then during that time I try to achieve like a good simulation. As you can see, the fabric is kind of flying all over the place. I think if I I did arrangement better. Like in 3D, I put the pattern piece very close to where it should be sewn, and there was not much force dragging the pattern towards the body. I feel like, of course, I wouldn't have to struggle as much. So at this stage, I think I didn't do the best that I could. And then here, to have kind of better result, I sew all the holes together, because as you can see now in 3D, like they're open. So here, if you double click on one point of the circle and then double click on the other circle on the same point, you can very quickly do the sewing. Sometimes the sewing turns out twisted, so once you do this type of sewing, you can just press Ctrl B and then it flips the sewing and it's all good. And then here I added some seam taping because I want to add the eyelets. So I add seam taping just to make the holes more strong so they don't collapse. And for that kind of seam taping, you should use like a really stiff seam tape. And here I'm just placing the eyelets. I don't think it's easy to simulate with these eyelets. When they are added as button, I think it will mess up things quite a lot. So for still images, I think it's okay to use these eyelets. But if you want to do animation, probably maybe having this realistic way of making the lace up, maybe it would not work as well as if you would have the sewing and the more simple way. But I actually haven't tried. And here, just really fast forward with eyelet placement. I mean, this took a lot of time really, and you do need to use some pins to make sure that the strings don't go into the eyelets. It takes some time, but I think the result is always so beautiful and so nice. Anyway, so I added a project file of this exact finished item, so you can check it out and you can use it. And yeah, I hope this tutorial is useful, and you know, if you have the patience, I hope you can try it out and make something nice with this lace-up method. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section, or don't hesitate to text me directly. I always am happy to answer and help you out. Okay, have a good day. Bye.